All right, everybody. Well, hey, our next guest podcaster here on Pitch a Pod Pitch is he's known as a blue-collar hard worker turned entrepreneur and founder of Your Superior Self podcast. He believes deeply that in having actual conversations, we can help each other on our journey of self-actualization. Through podcasting, Treys learned what motivates leaders, discourages entrepreneurs, and benefits of a holistic lifestyle, and the importance of communication and the satisfaction of understanding quantum spirituality. He's had the honor of having authentic conversations with leaders, authors, speakers, medical professionals, and artists in various industries in which he's been able to share their stories with his audience. He's an innate introvert, hosting a podcast, interviewing his idols. Hasn't come naturally, as he'll say, Beyonce, but he shares how pushing his limits has helped him learn many life lessons. In interviewing prolific guests like J.J. Virgin, Jon Gordon, Jairek Robbins, Lord Gassner Otting, Philip McKernan, Devin Thorpe, Sam Horn, Zuby, Chris Wilson, Paul Selig, and many, many more. So we're honored to have the host of Your Superior Self, my buddy Trey Downes, avid Baltimore Ravens football fan.
Yes,
there.
Sir. The wound is still open, man.
I'm sorry, brother. Sorry, man. Hey, at least you guys made the playoffs. The Cowboys didn't go anywhere. Man.
We made the playoff. We had to buy home field advantage, best team in football, best offense, and we stunk up the field.
Well, that's okay. Well, we can talk about podcasts. Let's talk about something positive.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's talk about something that makes me happy.
There you go. There you go. Now, you have some slides you want to go through, or just
no? I'd figure, since I love conversations, we'll just do it, old school, no PowerPoints.
No problem at all. So let's talk a little bit. Talk about kind of how you started down this path and what made you start Your Superior Self podcast.
So my brother-in-law, Joe McKlinsky, he has a podcast called Shift Happens. And right around Thanksgiving time, him and I are big advocates for the podcasting community. And we just love everything about podcasting. We listen to the same people. And it was kind of like a dare. It was like he just, his business is growing in Baltimore and he has this knack for public speaking, and he's a natural on stage. I was like, dude, you have to have a podcast. Like, it just makes sense. And this was like in 2017. So, I mean, it was just at the very start of the explosion of podcasting. And he was like, you know what? I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, you know what? I think you should. And so I was like, you know what? I'll do it if you do it. So that's how it started. Like, it was all for like a Thanksgiving family dare. And he started, I started, and we haven't stopped yet.
You're doing a tremendous job. You're actually episode, I believe the 5 pillars, what we call it, the 5 pillars.
Five pillars of leadership. Yeah.
Yeah. Top 15 downloaded episode in my podcast.
Nice, man. That's amazing. I think leadership's, you go back and listen to that podcast because it's very important.
It totally is. But you've been a student of that. That's one of the great things. I think you approached it differently as a student versus an interview. I mean, you're interviewing people, but I think your approach is definitely, you're asking different questions. You're really taking it from a student learning kind of aspect, I guess, as being a student learning from the teachers. And
I'm definitely the student. They're the mentor. I am learning everything from them. I'm basically, so like when I say blue collar, like that's my background. Like I'm 3rd generation railroader, transportation business. I want to learn as much as I can. And when I have people come on, I connect with them in a way that is different because I'm asking, I'll be the idiot. I don't care. Like I'll ask you questions about, the basics so that when everyone can understand what they're doing, what their business is. Like I don't fear looking dumb. I just think it's, you go to a conference, you listen to a speaker, you go up and talk to them, and they might say something that you don't necessarily understand. And it's like, you don't want to ask them the dumb question. And it's like, you know what? I'll ask a dumb question. Come on my show. I'll ask a dumb question. We'll have a conversation just like this, nothing scripted. It's very free flowing, natural. Like I love the conversation, the connection, the flow state of mind, that stuff. The show is kind of going in a different direction right now because I'm going into a lot more neuroscience. So I have Stephen Kotler. He's coming on the show. He authored 2 amazing books, The Rise of Superman and Stealing Fire. And then Aubrey Marcus comes on in mid-February, and we're going to talk about spirituality and his trip down to Peru and psychedelics and things like that. So it's going into a different place that I've never been before, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, man, that definitely sounds exciting. But I want to commend you on things, not the fact that you say you ask the dumb questions. I think you care enough, and then I think I'm a big believer that, hey, if I'm thinking that question, I guarantee there's plenty of people in the audience behind me or audience listening that has that same question. So I always have taken that approach, and I think that's you do a great job asking. I love your podcast. I've been listening for a while now. I think everybody should listen to it.
Yeah, I mean, look at you, dude. Mass Media Podcast Summit. Like, I mean, your marketing is on another level, brother. Can I just borrow some of your VCs over there or something? Like, come on, help me out.
Hey, I'm glad to. Anybody that wants the playbook of how we market, I'm glad to help out, man. I've always said that. And it's not as difficult as most people make it out to be. But I think that's the thing with talking with experts. It comes from more so than anything else, just being consistent and showing up and honing your craft in and out. I mean, I've been marketing for years, and the podcast has been something new in the last 3 years. But it's we've got this stuff, but this wasn't hard. This is FedEx right here, baby. Like 2 days ago, I got it. Like you remember my stickers on here? I got steel stuff on here.
I love it though. I love it. I love everything that you got going on. You're such a good dude too, man. You're like, you really care, and you really care about the podcasting community, and you're putting it back. You're investing into the community. Like you're reinvesting into the podcasting community. I think that's huge. Well,
thanks, man. Now, as a podcaster, let's I dig more into you.
Sure.
For those out there, because you've been doing it for a while and switching up and pivoting your show a little bit, what would you say? What would you tell people that maybe are going through a little bit of a rough patch? They've been going down one path and they feel like they need to pivot a little bit, because I think everybody goes through that at some point. I know I have. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give them, or counsel is probably a better way of saying counsel, you give them to pivot, or to maybe reinvigorate their shows or their audience a little bit?
Well, I think that, I struggle a little bit with the creativity side of things a little bit, just because you listen to a lot of shows and they're kind of the same, like, structure, same script. I've been reading a lot of Chase Jarvis books, not Chase books, but his book, I think it's Creative Matters.
Yep.
And then he has a website, Creative Live, I think it is. And he does a lot of creativity stuff. And I practice a lot of meditation. I try to do different things mentally to get me in different states of consciousness, so that way I can think about my show differently. How can I be different, really? Like, I just started a thing on my podcast, and you guys are more than welcome to use this, but I think it was the statistic of human attention span is like 8 seconds or something like that. So you have like 8.4 seconds to get someone's attention. And so what I started doing was, like, whoever I'm, interviewing or talking to, like, I'll, research their profession or whatever they're experts at. And I'll throw some Google stats at the people, like, at the audience, and say, did you know that this, and that's why I have this person here today. So they're kind of like intrigued right out of the gate. And then I'll have a clip of their interview, something that is meaningful to the speaker. Like, you can feel when they go from the script to, like, the passion. Like, I'll try to get that, like, little excerpt of the talk there and put it at the very beginning, so that way it automatically catches the listener when they listen to the preview or whatever. But if you're in a rut, the best thing you can do is just keep going, right? Like, I mean, a lot of people just want to, like, stop and quit because they feel like they're not going anywhere. But then you got to experience with other stuff too. Like, don't be afraid to fail. Try different things mentally. Research a lot of, try to get as creative as you can. Like, start looking at art, start looking at other people's podcasts, listen to a different type of music, start brushing your teeth with your opposite dominant hand, just do things like practice, like, trying to, like, change your mindset. So that way, I know for me, I've been reading a lot of flow state stuff with Stephen Kotler, and I didn't know anything about flow state at all until I went to my brother-in-law's conference he held in Baltimore, and I met Stephen there, and we talked about flow state, which is pretty fascinating. You guys need to, check that out. But it's helped me get into flow state and help me with creativity with the show, and, like, getting into that extreme focused area and when I'm in my office, and, like, just really pound out some episodes and just be different and just feel good about it, right? Like, I'm not about the downloads, I'm about the creativity part of it. And, like, that's the part of it that really intrigues me, is, like, putting myself in it. And I think I mentioned it to you on your podcast, where it's like, we're creating art by audio, really. Yep. I mean, every episode that I do is a piece of me. Like, everything that I do, I edit, I have a buddy that does the music for me, and it's all me.
I love that. I'm going to actually write that down. One thing, we're creating art by audio. I love that.
Well, essentially we are. I mean, you think about it. I mean, we are creatives, and you got to think it like that. Like, a lot of people don't think like, hey, I'm a creative. Like, you are an artist. Like, you have to do things that artists do to keep that creativity flowing. And sometimes, like, I'll just do, I'll just try to change it up. If you get stuck in a rut, just, try to do something different. Like, take a different way, different walk home, write something left-handed. I don't know, just do something different to get that mindset changed a little bit there.
And I think that's such a great nugget there for everybody to realize, because it's sometimes we get in the habit of doing things over and over again. We do get in there, right? You've just got to change your environment, get out of the house, go somewhere different, take a different drive home, as you mentioned. Those are the things that you have to do to really shake it up, and
you gotta shake it up. You gotta shake and bake, man. Come on.
Exactly. You definitely to shake and bake it. So what advice would you give somebody who's, trying to focus on something? Maybe they're all across the board. They don't know exactly how to niche down or narrow down their focus a little bit.
I just think it's a lot of research. I think you got to do take a step back and really collect your thoughts and find out what your mission is, and really take a inward look about who you are and what you're trying to do and what is your mission. Don't stop listening to a lot of the, I don't know, dude. Like, there's so many formulas out there for podcast success, and I don't, you got to be you. Like, you got to put yourself in it. People are going to listen to you for who you are. Like, there's only one version of you. Like, there's only one Scott Carson, right? There's only one Trey Downes, and it's who you are. That's how you're going to, that's how you're going to gain the audience, is just being who you are. And don't be afraid to mess up. Like, try different things, try different techniques, try a different intro, try a different outro, try to, read an excerpt from a book. I don't know. Just try to be different. Like, you know what? Not even be different. Just be yourself. Because the louder that you can be of your inner person, the inner true being, you're going to attract the same type of people, right? I mean, even if you have 1,000 listeners, that's so beneficial. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you experience that at all. I mean, the more that you try to be somebody else, the more resistance you're going to face.
That's the thing, because you're going to be off course. If you're not you, it's going to be hard to fake it all consistently. We were talking about somebody else. Be authentic, be true to what you want to do. If you're doing something that's not comfortable, stop doing it. You won't have that internal conflict with yourself and the content you create. And I think those that fake it or try to do something that they're not are the ones that suffer from quitting or pod fade a lot faster.
Pod fade. Yeah, definitely, man.
What would you say has been your biggest surprise with your podcast? The thing that's really kind of just shocked you that's happened from having a podcast?
At first, I'm being honest, just being, I'm being vulnerable here and just going to be transparent. At first, when I did it, I thought, I saw JLD's website and the figures he was bringing in, the revenue. And I was like, man, I can do that, man. He has a, 30-minute interview. I can script something together and get some guests 7 days a week. And then, hopefully I can get to those 6 figures a month. But as I got into it, it wasn't about that anymore. It was about the creating. It was the creating the content, their art that really surprised me. I literally don't check my stats anymore. I don't care. I don't check my downloads. When I go into Libsyn, who I podcast with, I go directly to the new content. And I do all the information there because I don't care about the downloads, man. I care about what I care about, is the messaging that I get from other people who say that they really learned something from my episode, right? Hearing you talk about leadership, the people that listen to that episode and they really got something from it. That's all I care about. And the appreciation of what I'm putting out there, the art of it, that's all I care about.
Awesome.
I think that's what that really surprised me, because I was at first it was all about, possibly creating a different lifestyle or a side hustle and being monetary. I don't do sponsorships. I'm not interested in that. I'm wearing these glasses right now. I'm an affiliate for Blue Blocks, which is artificial blue light, but I believe in the brand. I told Andy, the CEO, I was I don't want any dollars. You know what I mean? I'll be a part of the program, but I just want to help you out, brother. You know what I mean? I really do believe in creating your superior self, just being better, self-growth, self-mastery, self-actualization.
Awesome. Trey, what's the best way for our fans and people listening and watching this to connect with you? What's the best way for them to reach
you
out?
can go to yoursuperiorself.com. You can check me out over there. Instagram at tdowns80, Twitter at downstrey. Email me on the website. There's a place where you can go and send me a message. Tell me what you're doing, what's going on. I'm always open to new relationships, trying to hang out, connect with other people, great people like you, Scott.
Hey, Trey, thank you, brother. Thanks for giving. Thanks for being honest and sharing, and thanks for being a part here, man. Look forward to.
You're doing great things, brother. I appreciate this, man.
Amen. Thanks for giving. Thanks for being here and going full tilt. We all appreciate it. Keep doing what you're doing, brother, and we'll see you later. All right. Thanks, Trey. That was good.